All right, good morning and welcome. Okay, we're going to be looking at one-step equations. All right, now I'm I'm operating under the assumption, and this might backfire, that you do remember a little bit about equation solving from middle school. Okay, now one thing I encourage all of my students to do, regardless of your skill level, is to show work. Okay. And it's real easy to show work in solving equations. And I'm about to model that for you in the examples we're going to go over. Okay. All right. So if I'm looking here, I've got 6 equals 9 plus W. Now I know a lot of different teachers have different approaches to solving equations, but I do not rewrite the problem from the beginning in a different way. I take the problem as it was given to me and I solve it. Okay. All right. So if I've got 6 equals 9 plus W, remember the whole point, okay, is to isolate the variable. So whatever variable they've given me, the whole point is I'm going to isolate the variable. And I do that by using opposite operations. So opposite operations. Okay. So if you have plus, the opposite operation is subtraction. Okay. And then vice versa. So it goes in both directions. Okay, so if you have a subtraction, the opposite operation is plus. Okay, if you have multiplication, or you use a dot for multiplication, okay, the opposite operation is division. Same thing if you have division, the opposite is multiplication. Okay, there's one more opposite operation that we'll talk about later on in another math class. Okay, but right now these are your primary ways of getting a variable by itself. Okay, now what's misleading is that they're not always written in a way that I would say, oh yeah, you're definitely going to use the opposite operation of subtraction here because you have a plus W. That's not what makes it subtraction. Okay, you have to realize that you're looking at 9. 9 is what's the problem. I need it to be a W by itself, which means I've got to get rid of 9. Well, it all depends on what type of 9 this is. This 9 is positive because there's an understood plus in front of it. Okay, if they had wanted it to be -9, they would have written -9. They would have put the minus sign to indicate negative. But there's an understood plus sign in front of it. So that means when I ignore the plus W, okay, I'm looking at this plus 9. Okay, so the opposite of plus 9 is -9. Okay, so what do I do with -9? Well, your equal sign, okay, your equal sign is your wall, okay, and you could actually draw that wall in, okay, and so what that does is that creates a left side, okay, so 6 is on the left side of your wall, and 9 plus W is on the right side of your wall, okay, so if I subtract 9 from the right side, I have to subtract it from the left side because I need to keep my equation balanced. So -9. Okay, so now I have to simplify that. So I'm just going to draw a line and I'm just going to simplify down the columns. So 6 minus 9, well, that's -3. 9 minus 9 is 0, so that eliminates. Okay, and then I'm just left with this W. And I'm going to bring down this equal sign. Okay, since W is now by itself, I'm done. Okay, so I know my final answer is W equals -3. Okay, now there are lots of different ways to represent that final answer, but for Delta Math, okay, all you're going to do here is you're going to type in -3. You do not have to type in W. Okay, you're just going to type in -3, and then you're going to click submit, yes, and you're good. Okay. All right. So in order to keep the video short, okay, I'm going to come back in separate videos. Okay. So you might have about 4 or 5 videos in your assignment today. That's just so that way you can keep them short and you can rewatch them as you need to. Okay.